I was told to be extra cautious around people from the Miao region who practiced witchcraft. My cousin, who works in the wedding industry, once told me about an encounter with Miao witchcraft at a wedding he was filming. The bride collapsed on the spot, as if her soul had been sucked out of her. He captured something he shouldn't have. Folks, this is a suspenseful and thrilling story that you can read in one sitting. If you're scared, tag your bravest friend to watch it with you. Author, dual screen typist. The story begins now. The wedding venue was opulent. The groom, John, was a hotel magnate. The bride, Lily, was exceptionally beautiful, like a character from a painting. My colleagues and I joked that such a lavish affair must have cost at least a few $100,000. While setting up our equipment and adjusting the lighting, we began shooting from multiple angles. Lily, in her traditional Chinese red wedding gown, exuded grace and modern charm. She walked onto the stage, supported by her bridesmaids, her steps somewhat uneven and halting. John was already on stage, his face flushed with joy, though his smile seemed a bit forced. He was probably nervous. I had a stabilizer rigged to me, and I slowly approached the stage, ready to get a close-up of their hand-holding moment. I wasn't filming the entire event. Other colleagues were handling that. My job was to capture highlight reels, focusing on character details and expressions. That's why I kept a close eye on John's expressions. It was a professional habit. However, I had a feeling the final product wouldn't be great because the bride wasn't cooperating, resulting in too many expressionless shots. It felt like it would tarnish my reputation. The next segment was the couple thanking their parents. I specifically gave the bride a close-up shot. She held her wine glass unsteadily, spilling some of the contents, and her voice trembled. She said, "Mom, Dad, thank you." Then she suddenly choked up. Was she too nervous? Or was she searching for touching words? I pushed in for a side shot, showing only her 45-degree profile. Under the soft light, she looked incredibly beautiful. I waited for her to speak, but the next second, she collapsed backward like a puppet with its strings cut. What the hell is happening? I thought. This wasn't in the rehearsal. For a moment, only the music filled the grand hall. Then, the people holding up their phones to take pictures erupted. The hall descended into chaos with shouts and screams. Lily crashed into the backdrop behind her. My hand trembled, and I instinctively pressed the pause button. The camera's monitor froze on the bride's falling moment, which was exquisitely eerie, with a sort of hazy beauty. But this beauty instantly transformed into fear, spreading through my heart. She's dead. The bride is dead. Everything's in disarray. With such a disaster, we couldn't continue filming. Everyone fended for themselves. I gathered my team and gave John a nod. He waved us off, and we left. After exiting the hotel, my colleagues became inexplicably excited, cracking irrelevant jokes. How strange, they said. The bride died at her own wedding. This is going to be headline news, right? Yeah. Yeah. Another chimed in. There was no warning. And the groom looked a bit odd, crying those crocodile tears. A bit exaggerated, don't you think? I cut them off. Stop spouting nonsense. Don't spread this around. We don't even know the full situation yet. Besides, someone just died. Why are you all so thrilled? Despite my colleagues' jokes, I was mostly confused. How could such a beautiful woman suddenly die like that? It was completely unbelievable. It was past 2 p.m. when I returned to the office. I closed the door and imported the wedding video onto my computer, reviewing it repeatedly. The bride's eyes were hollow. Yet, if she had lost consciousness, she also looked like she wanted to say something. Her mouth opening and closing. And her wrist. I zoomed in on the image on my computer. So much so that individual hairs were visible. I noticed faint red marks on the bride's wrist. Circles as if something had constricted her. The marks were very light. Barely visible without close inspection. These faint red marks extended upward. Densely. Into her sleeve. It was too strange. I uploaded the footage to cloud storage. As the data was uploading, a call came in. The caller ID showed John. Why is he calling me now? I wondered. Shouldn't he be dealing with the bride's situation? A bad feeling crept in. This guy isn't going to stiff me on the payment just because his wife died. Is he? I let the phone ring for over 10 seconds before answering on speakerphone. Hello? Mr. Joe? My condolences. I was supposed to say congratulations. As my words trailed off, John spoke. Thank you for your trouble today. Don't worry about the fee. I'll pay whatever it is. I was just about to find an excuse to bring up the money. And he brought it up himself. Besides offering condolences and thanks, I had nothing else to say. Just as I was about to hang up, John added, this kind of thing, nobody wanted it to happen. I'll still pay you. But there's one thing, please delete all the footage you shot today. I'm sure you understand. He rambled on about a lot of other things afterward. But I didn't hear any of it. Only one question filled my mind, why did he want me to delete the footage? This was Lily's last living footage. Even if John didn't want it. Wouldn't Lily's parents? It would only upset them more. Forget it. Money's good. And it saves me the hassle of delivering the finished product later. I wish I hadn't uploaded it to the cloud. Now I have to go clear it out. What a waste of time. I opened my cloud drive and clicked on the last video frame. Lily was holding the wine glass and speaking. Then paused for about 10 seconds. Before the bride collapsed. I paused the frame. Her half-covered red veil subtly swayed. A thin wisp of white smoke. Almost like a halo. No. Something emerged from within. I replayed a few frames and, seeing it clearly, felt goosebumps all over. The white entity, appearing and disappearing, swiftly darted onto the bride's wrist. Then wrapped around it. And burrowed into John's hand. What was that thing? Unknowingly, night had fallen. My office ashtray was overflowing with cigarette butts. 2 colleagues were still working overtime outside. I hadn't deleted the video. The more I watched, the more unsettled I felt. Empty eyes, wasn't that what dead people had? No offense. No offense. I muttered, bowing to the computer. Just as I was about to delete the cloud video, my phone rang. It was John. Brother. Are you at the office? He asked. I'm bringing the final payment over. He was personally bringing the final payment at this hour? I instinctively blurted out. Ah. Oh. Yes. I'm at the office. Mr. Joe. Just come right up. I'm here. He said. So fast. Footsteps sounded outside the door. I opened it and invited him in, offering a few words of comfort. He smiled. Then pulled money from his briefcase and handed it to me. You worked hard today. This extra is for your trouble. This good? I took the money and felt it. At least $2,000. John spoke again. Brother. About the video. Please delete it. Please. Money for services. I thought. I showed him. Don't worry. Mr. Joe. I've already deleted everything from my camera. The memory cards from the other cameras are here too. I'll delete everything in front of you. I assured him nothing would remain. Then formatted them in front of John. He nodded. Satisfied. Thank you. Brother. If any friends need wedding photos in the future, I'll definitely recommend you. Thank you. Mr. Joe. I said. Just as I was about to shut down my computer, I heard Luke and Dave talking outside the door. Hey. Why do you think the bride died so strangely? I saw the cloud video. It looked like something came out before she fell. You must have seen wrong. It was just the smoke machine. John overheard these words. I quickly stood up and said to him. Mr. Joe. I apologize. I'll delete the cloud video right away too. John paused. Then nodded. I'll leave it to you then. I felt his gaze was eerily cold. After John left, I called Luke and Dave in and chewed them out with a dark expression. I specifically warned them. Watch your mouths. And don't go spreading this around once you leave here. Understand? The groom himself came to delete these videos because he doesn't want anyone talking about it. The two of them chuckled awkwardly. Understood. Understood. Then I gave them their commission for the day's work. I thought that was the end of it. But something happened the very next day. The next morning, several couples came to the company for wedding photos. I was busy all morning. And when I finally had a moment, I realized Luke and Dave weren't at the office. Those two probably ran off to get massages at a spa. Huh? I thought. A little money and they get all cocky. I called Luke. But his phone was off. Then I called Dave. And he was out of service area. I shook my head. Young people. Never taking care of themselves. Don't they know that once you hit middle age, you'll be drinking wolfberry tea in your thermos? I didn't think much of it. As I was about to leave work, John called me, saying he had a business opportunity to introduce and wanted to meet to discuss it. Eager to make money. Always a good thing. I thought. I immediately agreed. But I still had a strange feeling of unease. As I left, I brought a button camera. This thing was tiny. I put it on my shirt button. And it was completely undetectable. John had arranged to meet at a coffee shop on the Outer Ring Road. As I arrived, I saw him sitting by the window with a young, beautiful woman. They were chatting and laughing. The world of the rich is truly something else, I mused. I quickly walked in and greeted them warmly. Mr. Joe. And this beautiful lady. I apologize for the wait. John pointed to the coffee in front of me. I ordered you a drink. Sit down. Let's chat. After thanking John, I enthusiastically extended my hand. I'm Lin Jing from Huaxi Media. May I know your name? Beautiful lady? The lady smiled, covering her mouth. Hello. Mr. Lin. My name is Ava. I work for the county propaganda department. I'm in charge of the county's promotional video this time. Mr. Zhou said your team's skills are excellent. And you're quite familiar with the work. So I wanted to learn more. County propaganda department? I nodded. These days, government work is easy to do, but hard to get paid for. However, since John introduced it, I responded enthusiastically. Mr. Zhou is too kind. What are the specific requirements for this promotional video? Ava explained that it was simple. Just filming some rural scenery and interviewing villagers. Mainly for inspection purposes. The video would be played on a large screen on a loop. I thought this business seemed pretty straightforward. I wonder about the budget. I thought. Ava chuckled, covering her mouth, and held up 10 fingers. Don't worry. With me overseeing it, you won't lose a single penny. 100,000? If the payment was reliable. This was indeed a good job. John clinked his cup against hers. Then looked at Ava and said, Ava. We're all family here. Ava's face immediately flushed. The two of them flirted, completely disregarding my presence. I awkwardly cleared my throat. Only then did John say, in a serious tone, Mr. Lin. You need to seize this opportunity. Get your foot in the door. And future business will naturally follow. I smiled and replied, Absolutely. Absolutely. Then I picked up my coffee and took a small sip. Mr. Zhou. If there's nothing else, I'll head back and prepare the proposal. John smiled and said, No rush. Finish your coffee before you go. I couldn't refuse. So I sat there. Gradually, John and Ava began to blur. Finally, with a thud, I collapsed onto the table. Unconscious. My last thought was, damn it. This son of a gun drugged me. A chilling cold brought me back to consciousness. My head throbbed. I opened my eyes to complete darkness. My hands and feet were tied. And I couldn't move. I realized I was in a confined space, with only faint light filtering through cracks in the ceiling. Next to me were 3 large suitcases. Their contents unknown. In a corner, there was a large iron cage, seemingly holding 2 people. But I couldn't make them out clearly. A voice came from the corner. Brother Lin. Is that you? I recognized Luke's voice. Then Dave also cried out. Brother Lin. I was stunned. How did they end up here? Luke, sobbing, said. Brother Lin. John kidnapped us. Dave yelled. How did you get in here too? My mind was filled with questions. I couldn't help but ask loudly. What's going on? Luke, his voice trembling, recounted what happened. After work yesterday, he and Dave were about to go to a massage parlor when they ran into Mr. Zhou, who invited them for late-night snacks. Dave suddenly roared. Bullshit. Mr. Zhou. It's all your fault. I said we should go get a massage and relax. But you saw John with a beautiful woman and couldn't move your legs. Now look at us. We're all tied up here. Luke awkwardly replied. How can you blame me? Didn't John say he was going to introduce us to some business? Dave was even angrier. Introduce your mom. We're about to lose our lives now. The two of them argued back and forth. All right. Tell me in detail what exactly happened. Luke, his voice trembling, described the events. They had run into John. John and Ava were together, eating late-night snacks at a barbecue joint near the massage parlor. They invited Luke and Dave to join them for a few beers. And after a few drinks, they lost consciousness. When they woke up, they were confined there. Luke said, Ava isn't even from the county propaganda department. When I woke up, I heard Ava call John Ava. I was completely bewildered. The bride's name was Lily. After hearing Luke's narration, my mind suddenly buzzed, and cold sweat ran down my back. Luke asked me, Brother Lynn, do you think John was possessed? He's acting all girly. Dave slapped him on the head. Possessed my ass. Stop reading so many fantasy novels. I think he's been cursed with a goose spell. Luke quietly retorted. Your guess doesn't have any basis either. I ignored their bickering. My mind fixated on the bride's last moments before she died. I tried to stand up. The iron door suddenly opened, and a blinding light streamed in. I looked up, and it was John and Ava. I forced a smile. Mr. Joe, what are you doing? We have no past grievances or recent animosity. Don't joke around. John sneered and walked in. Joking? Heh. Fine. You can pretend to be dumb. We might not have any grievances. But unfortunately, you saw things you shouldn't have. Consider yourselves unlucky. Ava's hand rested on John's shoulder as she smiled at me. Mr. Lynn. My Ava wasn't trying to scare you. You knew all along. I hadn't believed Luke when he said John was acting strange. But hearing it firsthand was even more bizarre. I squirmed, trying to move closer. Let us go. We'll go back and clear all the data. And we promise not to say anything. John frowned at me. Ava pointed to the iron cage. I'm sorry. Only dead men can keep a secret. What secret? We don't know anything. Yeah. Please let us go. Luke and Dave pleaded urgently. John chuckled. The master said that if this gets out, we'll die a horrible death. Besides, I haven't stabilized this body yet. I need a few sacrifices. Blame yourselves for being nosy. His voice fluctuated between male and female, creating a jarring, discordant sound. You must be curious why I'm doing this. Right? No. I wasn't curious at all. I truly wanted to cover my ears. But John seemed to have a strong desire to share. She said, Ava and I are a couple. Lily and Lima were a couple. Isn't that a girl? John glared at me fiercely. Why not? Can't it be? Yes. Yes. I quickly agreed. John's expression softened slightly. He said, John, that beast actually drugged Ava. That night, I wanted to cut that dog thing into pieces. He even tried to lay his hands on me. Luke and I exchanged bewildered glances. Dave grumbled. But this has nothing to do with us. John raised his arm. And circles of red. Like living things. shot out and wrapped around Dave's neck. His head fell off, and blood spurted out, splattering everywhere, scaring Luke, who screamed and tried to dodge. Then a wisp of white smoke, like a thin thread, intertwined with the red marks and swiftly entered John's mouth. John groaned in satisfaction. "What do you mean? Nothing to do with us? I told you I needed a few sacrifices. I wasn't originally looking for you. But you're just unlucky." Luke and I were so terrified we couldn't even breathe. John was truly too eerie. He suddenly looked at me. "Mr. Lynn, don't you agree that between men and women, it's just about that one thing?" I instinctively nodded. John walked over and patted my face. "You're quite good looking. It's a shame you have to die." What did he mean? My scalp instantly prickled, and I desperately tried to back away. Ava pulled John away and yelled at me. "What are you looking at? Ava is always mine." John coughed, then hugged Ava and said, "Honey, of course I'm yours. Why else would I have agreed to marry him and even trick him into thinking you'd be his mistress?" I was stunned. This line of reasoning was truly bizarre. I tried to process it. Luke couldn't help but murmur, "What kind of revenge is this?" John walked towards the iron cage and squatted down, looking at Luke and chuckling. "What? Are you envious?" Luke backed away in fear, terrified of the strange thing on John's hand darting out. Ava leaned against John's back and said, "So, it turns out John's initial insult to me wasn't an insult after all. Anyway, this body is Ava's now. We can finally be together openly." Luke and I were almost in tears watching these two bizarre, insane individuals being lovey-dovey. Luke stammered, "You too. You've had your fun. Could you please let us go?" John's face darkened, revealing a grotesque expression as he pointed at Luke. "Don't rush. You're next." Luke was terrified, begging for mercy. "No. Please. Let me go. Please." John's face twisted into a sinister smile. "My dear, don't be afraid. I'll be very gentle." The red marks on her body seemed to come alive, instantly shooting out and binding Luke tightly. "No. No." Luke screamed hysterically, struggling violently. The red marks tightened, almost cutting into his flesh. Luke's face turned crimson. His eyes bulged, and blood began to seep from the corners of his mouth. Then, a strange greenish-gray appeared on his face, and he began to make cackling sounds. Luke's limbs straightened rigidly, and the red marks, as if alive, writhed on his body. A wisp of white smoke drilled into John's nostrils. John's face showed a look of satisfaction. "Ah. So refreshing. Just one more." John's gaze fell on me, and he licked his lips, a sinister smile spreading across his face. "Mr. Lynn, you've been watching for so long. Aren't you itching for a turn? Don't worry. It'll be your turn soon." I desperately tried to shrink back, shouting, "No. Don't come near me." But John was unmoved, approaching me step by step. I tried my best to calm down and yelled, "My cloud drive content hasn't been deleted yet. If I die, the police will definitely see that footage. And then they'll suspect you first." John chuckled. "Don't worry. You're right. But it's useless. With that, he waved his hand gently. And the red marks floated up, dragging Dave and Luke's bodies from the corner. A bizarre scene unfolded. The two bodies' severed heads inexplicably returned to their necks. The red marks wrapped around them in circles. And the severed areas healed rapidly before my eyes. The red marks then vanished. Almost imperceptibly. Dave and Luke opened their eyes. They stood up rigidly and walked out of the iron cage. John chuckled. Do you think if they find a tall building and jump off in front of cameras, the police will still look for me? He had even thought of that. Even if someone found out, they would only assume we committed suicide. The red marks rushed towards me, tightly wrapping around my body. I felt it difficult to breathe. Then, a strange greenish-gray appeared on my arm, rapidly spreading throughout my body. My mouth also began to make uncontrollable cackling sounds. John's face revealed a crazed smile. Ava also giggled. It's almost done. Before I plunged into darkness, I saw John's face enlarge infinitely before my eyes. Her mouth opened to an incredible extent. And then I felt my soul being stripped from my body. Just as I was about to lose consciousness, a woman's voice echoed in my ear, "It's finally almost done. Thank you so much." A scream rang out. It was Lily's voice. What's going on? I opened my eyes and found myself in a vast, dark space. Two figures were entangled in front of me. Why were they fighting? Lily was terrified. You tricked me." Before she could finish, the red marks, as if alive, tightly bound her. She struggled desperately. Ava. I did all this for you. And you're going to betray me? Just as Ava was about to devour her, Lily turned and looked at me, waving her hand. A cold gust of wind swept towards me, and I floated lightly into the air. I saw my own body and then sank into it. I was alive again. My vision was blurry, and I couldn't exert any strength. In a haze, red marks encircled me. After an unknown period, a cacophony of voices reached my ears. Quick! They're here! I opened my eyes to blinding white lights. Where am I? Someone joyfully shouted. He's awake! He's awake! Go get the doctor! But it wasn't a doctor who pushed open the hospital door. It was two men in uniform. One of them flashed his badge. Lin Jung. We're from the precinct's detective unit. We'd like to ask you some questions. I weakly managed. Police? An older detective looked grim. Your two employees died this morning, having jumped from the top of the giant sun building. It was a suicide. John is still in a coma. You're the only one conscious right now. We need to understand the situation. Lin Jung. Can you hear me? The detective waved a hand in front of my eyes. I finally reacted and quickly said. It was John. And that woman named Ava. They kidnapped me and my employees. The detective frowned, looking at me skeptically. John isn't awake yet. We'll record what you've said. But don't try to take advantage of the situation. It's best to tell the truth. The other detective immediately asked. What exactly happened in that basement? What happened? Death. My head throbbed. At that moment, the doctor walked in, shined a small flashlight into my eyes, then turned and said something to the two detectives. I couldn't hear clearly, But I vaguely saw the older detective shaking his head. I felt like I had forgotten something very important. My head was muddled. I closed my eyes, not wanting to speak. Seeing this, they didn't question me further. The police left quickly. The doctor came to take my temperature and told me to rest well and not overthink things. I felt so sleepy. After an unknown period, I opened my eyes again and found myself slumped over my desk at the office. The computer was still on. I checked the time. It was past 8 p.m. Wasn't I at the hospital? What was going on? Was it all a dream? No. I was still wearing a hospital gown. It wasn't a dream. My head hurt. How did I get to the office? I abruptly stood up, pushed open my office door, and rushed to the surveillance computer. I pulled up the surveillance footage. In the video, I was wearing a hospital gown, carrying a large black suitcase, and appeared alone at the company's main entrance. I stumbled in, opening the door. I quickly switched to another camera angle. In that shot, I was walking up the stairs, expressionless, my movements stiff, just like a puppet being controlled. I entered the main office, then clicked on the office surveillance. I saw myself walk directly to the computer, mechanically typing on the keyboard, opening the cloud drive, and deleting all the videos. I even talked to the air. Deleted. Gone. He he he. What was happening? Was I possessed? I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. The suitcase. I quickly returned to my office and found the suitcase in the corner. I unzipped it and discovered it was full of cash. What was going on? How did I have so much money? My head was spinning. I rushed into the restroom, and the cold water on my face helped me regain some clarity. My reflection in the mirror showed a pale face with bloodshot eyes. I wiped the water from my face, ready to leave. In that instant, I saw a woman's face in the mirror. I spun around, but there was nothing behind me. Was it a hallucination? I looked at the mirror again. It was just me. Just then, police sirens wailed downstairs. This was followed by a rush of footsteps. A large group of police officers burst through the door. The lead officer walked directly up to me. Lin Jung. You're suspected of murder. Please cooperate with our investigation. What? My eyes widened. You must be mistaken. How could I possibly kill someone? I struggled, trying to break free. The police turned on the TV in the interrogation room and played a video. The person in the video was John. He was lying in a hospital bed, speaking with difficulty. It was Lin Jung. They kidnapped me and demanded a huge ransom. I paid it. But they weren't satisfied. They even coveted Ava's beauty and tried to rape her. But Ava would rather die than comply. And she was killed by them in the struggle. Bullshit. I roared. John kidnapped me. He even tried to kill me to silence me. How could I have killed his person? The detective looked at me coldly. Lin Jung. We found a suitcase in your office with over $1 million in cash. That money isn't mine, I said, panicked. Heh. It's certainly not yours. The suitcase in the basement also contained cash. And the serial numbers match the ones in your office. Your fingerprints were found on the suitcase. I was speechless, desperately turning to look out the window. Outside, red flags fluttered. Red. Red flags. My head hurt so much. I felt like I had forgotten something important. The detective slammed the table forcefully. The table thudded with each strike. I watched his hand rise and fall. Button. The button. That's right. I remembered. The button camera. I had it with me when I went to the coffee shop. Yes. I have evidence. I have the button camera. It can prove my innocence. I shouted excitedly. The atmosphere in the interrogation room instantly became tense. Found it. Someone said. But I'm not sure if there's any content on it. It's been too long. And I don't know if it had power back then. Everyone held their breath. The video began to play. Fortunately, there were files. The picture was a bit blurry, but the sound and images were clear enough. The eerie conversation between John and Ava in the video was clearly audible. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the computer screen. Leaving the coffee shop seemed normal enough. But the subsequent footage astonished everyone. Especially when Dave and Luke's heads inexplicably fell off. The camera only captured this. It didn't show the strange red marks. But this was terrifying enough. The interrogation room was silent. After a long time, someone finally recovered and paused the video. Then turned to look at me. Their eyes filled with shock and confusion. This. What is this? I don't know either. I said. But all of this really happened. You have to believe me. The older detective's face was pale. And he was covered in sweat as he pulled open the door and rushed out. The remaining officers exchanged bewildered glances. Such a thing completely defied scientific common sense. After a long time, the door opened again. And a police officer walked in, telling me to come out. I thought they were going to release me. But they just put me in another room. Much later, someone brought me food. After I finished eating, the door opened again. And a man wearing a yellow Taoist robe, holding a peachwood sword, carrying a Bagua diagram on his back, and with long eyebrows, slowly walked in. Are you Lin Jing? He asked slowly. His voice deep and hoarse. I nodded. Before I could speak, I felt a sharp pain in my body. I looked down and saw red marks appearing on my skin. I looked up in horror. The Taoist waved his peachwood sword, and the gourd at his waist floated up. Suddenly, a powerful suction force emerged. A red figure flew out from behind me and was sucked away. Holy crap! A deity. My body went limp. And I fainted. When I woke up again, I was lying on the office sofa. I rubbed my throbbing head. How did I fall asleep here? Just then, there was a knock at the door. Brother Jung. You've been asleep all morning. I can't take it anymore. Then, my assistant, Leo, pushed the door open. He held a document in his hand. Complaining. Dave and Luke resigned after their leave. And there are too many inquiries. I can't handle it all by myself. Can you please hire a few more people? He also complained that it was peak season after the holiday. Resigned? I frowned. Why did Dave and Luke resign? I picked up my phone to call them and ask what was going on. But when I dialed their numbers, I got a phone-off message. Forget it. Good people are hard to find. But there are plenty of people out there. I'll post job ads this afternoon. I frowned. Leo breathed a sigh of relief and walked out. I checked the time. It was already 12 p.m. First, I'll go eat. There was a noodle shop nearby. And I walked straight in. Boss? One bowl of beef noodles. I shouted. Coming right up. The boss replied. Two men were sitting at the next table. Eating noodles and chatting. Did you hear? About what? There are so many strange things happening these days. I heard the police department is even using Taoist priests to catch criminals. It's hilarious. Huh. I heard that too. Just listen to it as a joke. Don't take it seriously. I chuckled. I wonder if Taoist priests get a government job if they join the police. Everyone burst into laughter. I looked at the button camera on my cuff. When the hell did I put this on? Epilogue 1, John. My name is John. Everyone says I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. A lucky man. Lucky? Perhaps. My dad owns a chain of hotels. Since childhood, I've had everything I wanted: money, women, cars. These things came as naturally to me as breathing. I loved the feeling of conquest. Especially with women, beautiful, pure, aloof. The harder they were to get, the more interested I became. Once I had them, I'd play with them until I was bored. Then discard them. What was there to miss? Ava. Huh? That chick was truly hot. And her figure was great. Just looking at her ignited a primal fire in me. That night, I intentionally drugged her drink. Watching her in a daze, I felt a triumphant smugness. I knew she was involved with Lily, that dead woman. But I didn't care. Women? Just playthings. Who takes them seriously? Besides, who dares to say no to a woman John wants? But then, Lily's face was indeed incredibly beautiful. The key was that this woman actually threw herself at me. He. I hadn't tried playing with a minor before. On the wedding day, I watched Lily, in her red wedding gown, walk towards me with halting steps. My heart felt a little thrill. I looked at Ava below the stage, and my heart burned with desire. This woman had agreed. Tonight, in the bridal chamber, I was going to soar. Ha 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 ha. But why did Lily feel so strange today? Never mind. As long as I got to play. But who knew that woman would actually drop dead on the stage? No. What were those circles on her hand? Damn. They're moving. I couldn't move. I couldn't control my body. What was happening? My head was so dizzy. So painful. My body felt like it was being torn apart. Like 1,000 ants gnawing at me. I was so sleepy. Damn it. When I wake up, I'm going to kill that woman. Epilogue 2, Lily. My name is Lily. In other people's eyes, I'm an abnormal woman. I don't like men. I like women. More accurately, I like Ava. Ava is my sunshine. My air. My everything. For her, I would do anything. Including murder. John. That beast. He ruined Ava and he ruined me. That night, I watched with my own eyes as he drugged Ava and took her away. I wanted to rush up and tear him to pieces. But I couldn't. I knew Ava had her own plan. And she needed my cooperation. Ava didn't have many years left to live. She was a descendant of a Miao sorceress. Young and beautiful but short-lived. She said there was a secret technique that could exchange souls and extend life. She also said she wanted revenge. Revenge? Good. John. That bastard. If Ava became a man, then we could truly be together. Being alive. If I became a man? It wasn't entirely out of the question. After all, my body had been defiled by John. If I got her body, it wouldn't be a stain anymore. On the wedding day, I followed Ava's plan, walking step by step towards John. I knew it was dangerous. But for Ava, I was willing. In front of everyone, I died. I knew that at that moment. Ava's plan had succeeded. My soul would enter John's body, and John would disappear forever. My body. Ava would keep it safe for me. At least, that's what we planned back then. But I never expected Ava to betray me. She wanted even more than I imagined. It turned out she had her eyes on me from the beginning. She was truly cunning. If I hadn't succeeded, then my body would have been hers. If I had succeeded, my body would have been her backup. It turned out she had never loved me. It's so hard to love someone. Epilogue 3, Ava. My name is Ava. A woman burdened by a curse. I am a descendant of a meow sorceress, destined to die before I turn 25. To live, I had to find a suitable body for a soul exchange. I chose Lily. She was young and beautiful. And she loved me. How disgusting. But her physical appearance was exceptional. I knew this was selfish. But I had no choice. I didn't want to die. I still had many things I hadn't done. But John. That beast. He ruined everything. He not only defiled my body but also disrupted my plan. At that moment, I wished I could cut him into 1,000 pieces. I could only change my mind. John was already marked by me. This was a last resort. I would use his body to carry my soul. I wanted him to experience being manipulated. On the wedding day, I used Lily, making her willingly die. I knew she wouldn't refuse me. After all, I had satisfied her every demand. I succeeded. I entered John's body and felt life returning. But I never expected Lily to resist. Wasn't she willing to sacrifice everything for me? Liar. She tricked me. She actually resisted. That bitch. Who did she think she was? She was nothing but a pawn to me. I devoured her soul without hesitation. I knew this was cruel. But I had no regrets. To live, I would do anything. As for Lin Jing, that cameraman, he was just an accident. If he was smart, he would obediently delete those videos. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind sending him to hell. This world is inherently a jungle where only the strong survive. And I, Ava, am destined to be the last winner. Ha 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 ha. I had already taken over John's body, and Lin Jing became the scapegoat. But where did that smelly Taoist priest come from? Here it comes again. That gourd is so terrifying. Don't come near me. Don't suck me in. What's wrong with just wanting to live? Folks, that's the end of the story. Thank you for your support.